Fantastic question. In a few weeks, we're going to have a parashat Shavua called Parashat Bechukotai. There are two parashot in the Torah that give very, very vivid details that, aside from being petrifying, are quite familiar to us in today's world because they sound like the Holocaust. One of them is Parashat Bechukotai, and the other one is Parashat Kitavo. Meaning that what Hashem describes here, if you didn't know this was 3,000 years ago, you'd say, oh, this is 70 years ago. This is the Holocaust. So Hashem says in these two parashot, if you do what I said, if you follow my laws, אם בחוקותיי תלכו ואת מצוותיי תשמרו ועשיתם אותם ונתתי גשמכם בעיתם ונתנה הארץ יבולה ועץ השדה ייתן פריו. If you will follow my decrees and observe my commandments and perform them, then I will provide your rains in their time, meaning you'll get the money that you need, all the sustenance you need exactly when you need it. You won't have any struggles, any famine, any hunger. The land will give you produce, the trees and fields will give you fruit. And then he continues to say that your enemy will be scared of you and run away from you. You will win every war. 5 of you will pursue 100, meaning that 5 of you can kill 100 people, which is amazing. So, if you do everything that I say, you're going to have this world turn into heaven. And he gives 13 different blessings that we get as a result of following what he says. On the other hand, on verse 14 in this parasha, he starts 49 different curses that he gives us if we don't follow. And he says, V'im lo tishmeu li, meaning the opposite. Here you heard me, you did what I said, this is what you're going to get the reward. On the other hand, if you don't follow my decrees, and you will not perform my commandments, and you will consider my decrees loathsome, and if you reject my ordinances, not only you're not going to listen, you're going to consider them annoying, boring, you don't feel like doing it, and so on, then he starts telling us about all the punishments in this world that we will get. And when you read the details of the punishment, you will see a depiction of what happened in the Holocaust. So much so to the detail where it says that regardless of how many we are, what weapons we have, our enemies will always win. Regardless of what wisdom we have and what brilliance we've attained, we will reach a level lower than animals, to the extent where it says, "Ve'achaltem besar benechem ubesar benotechem tochelu," that you will get to such a level of hunger that you will eat the flesh of your sons and the flesh of your daughters. People will become cannibals. Now you're going to say, okay, this is scary, but when did this happen in the Holocaust? If you look at the history books, the real history books, not the fiction stuff that they give you today in schools, the real history books of what really happened, you'll see that some of the testimony that's not really known very well among most people, especially Americans, is that the real testimony of the people says that all of this came true in a worse level than you can imagine. They starved the people so much that when they were going on the trains and sticking everybody into one cart, a lot of people would die. Now, the level of hunger was so bad that when somebody died, people didn't really mourn that much. Why? They were so hungry, as soon as they died, they all fought. About what? To get the liver. To get the liver so they can eat something finally. They haven't eaten in days. Another time, there's one of the books talks about how the evil Nazis fooled the people into eating their own children. I have a whole lecture about this if you want to know. Point is that everything that Hashem says He would do if we don't follow happened in the Holocaust. So the only answer that's available, that's true, that's genuine, that's Torah, of why did the Holocaust happen? Because we didn't follow Hashem. That's the answer. Where was God during the Holocaust? The answer is, He's the one that did it as a result of us not doing what He said. Now, when we do what He says, we get good. But if you look at the entire history of Am Yisrael, from the time of Egypt, all the way to now, you'll see that we've had very high highs and very low lows. We reached the highest level in many different countries, and then a pogrom would happen, an inquisition would happen, a disaster would happen, and millions would be killed. The Holocaust is not the only event that's ever happened where millions of Jews were killed. It's just one of many. It literally happens every generation. That's what you actually said in your Agadah at the beginning. We said that Hashem created the world in such a way where every generation somebody will try to destroy us. Why? Because if Hashem does not use the world in order to get us back to becoming righteous Jews, He'll lose us altogether. We'll become like them. So, when we do good, Hashem gives us good in this world and the next. When we do bad, Hashem has to send us a punishment, not in order to... He doesn't benefit out of punishing us. He doesn't get a pleasure out of punishing us. But sometimes you have to slap your kid in order to get his attention. Because if you don't get his attention, he's going to put his hand in the fire. And once he puts his hand in the fire, it's already too late to get his attention. You understand? Once he already jumps, he says, oh, but what's going to happen if I jump? Well, if you jump, you're going to die. No, let me see. You give the kid a nice slap, he's going to remember you next week. Why? Because you cannot allow the kid to keep playing with his life. Because if he really jumps, that's it. There's no more slapping him. He's going to die. If a Jew continues to violate Shabbat, if a Jew marries a non-Jewish woman, a Jew marries a non-Jewish man, a Jew continues to eat non-kosher, a Jew continues to go in against Hashem, eventually he becomes a goy. He assimilates. He thinks of himself as like them. And that's one of the scariest stories that you'll find. One of the Rabbanim, I forget his name, said a story recently. He said when he went to Yad Vashem, anyone that wants to know a little bit about the Holocaust should go to Eretz Yisrael, go to Yad Vashem. Their museum over there will show you some serious stuff about what actually happened in the Holocaust. When you go to the one they have in America, the one that they had in Washington, D.C., I went to it one time with an old friend of mine, Alav Shalom, Larry Krause. He said they ruined it. I said, why? It's horrible. He goes, yeah, they ruined it. So why did they ruin it? We went to Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. We had a case, and we had to go there. Anyway, while we had a break, we went to the museum. So I said, well, why is it bad? He says, when I came to this museum, this Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., he said, I came to it a couple years ago. They had the real stuff. They had the real stuff here. They had the real stuff. Now, they made it politically correct. Now, they lowered the viciousness. Now, it's all like, yeah, it's bad. It's no good. Holocaust is no good. But why? The Arabs across the street complained. The Arab embassy across the street complained that about the Holocaust. So what happened? The museum toned down what happened in the Holocaust. They start removing certain exhibits so you don't see what really happened in the Holocaust. So you go to the museum, some of them, it always looks bad. I mean, millions of people died. But they're not going to show you a lot of the gruesome stuff. The stuff that really happened. But you go to Yad Vashem in Eretz Yisrael, you're going to see some more. You read some books of actual things that happened. You watch some documentaries and see how they shovel the bodies. You see what happened, you see what really happened. It's very different. And you'll see all of it is described in the Torah. All of it. All of it is described in the Torah. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, if ve'alachtem imi bekeri ve'alachti imchem bechamat keri. You start treating the world as if everything is nature, as if everything is by chance, as if everything is by luck and it's not God, I'm going to show you that it is God. I'm going to do things that are so unnatural, you're going to know only God can do this. And many, many horrible things happen at that time. There are many horrible things that you guys probably never heard of, and most people never heard of, that happened even after the Holocaust. There was another Holocaust. Another Holocaust that people don't really know about, that happened after the Holocaust. But that Holocaust happened in Eretz Yisrael, inside Eretz Yisrael, where the Zionist criminals killed countless people, especially Sephardic Jews, especially Yemenites. Anyone that wants to know, there are many documentaries, trials, and all types of videos about it. I mean, the overwhelming majority of it, if not all of it, is in Hebrew, but there are countless trials that have taken place in recent years uncovering the massacre of a people because of racism, because of anti-Torah attitudes, and the stuff that some of the Zionists did make the Nazi Germans look good. Meaning, 1 minute the Nazis are killing us, 3 days later the Zionist Jews are killing us. But most people don't know about this because it's been hidden under a carpet for a long time. It's out now, but most Americans don't talk about it, don't know about it, don't care for it, don't teach it. But it's true. A lot of people died. A lot of people died. A lot of people were killed, murdered, sold as tests. They kidnap babies, all types of horrible, horrible things. Maybe one day we'll do a lecture about it. But the point is that this too was part of the hand of Hashem. All of it. Everything is the hand of Hashem. And you see the same thing happen in the Spanish Inquisition. Before the Spanish Inquisition, we were the leaders in Spain. Roman Empire, we were top-notch at the time. Greek Empire, we were the best of the best. Every country that we had this, we were always really in a good situation before the massacre started. Why? Because the higher we got in materialism, the further we got in spirituality. And in order to save us, Hashem sometimes has to hit us.